Welcome to Thrones and Scones. It's your weekday morning podcast where we talk about Game of Thrones and we do it over breakfast. It's Tony, Hans, and Jeremy in with you on a Miggity Monday. Tackling Season 7, Episode 6, Beyond the Wall, and Pear Chai. Because you need to stay warm when you're beyond the wall. Welcome, boys!
Is it Pear Chai or Pear Kai? Is it Kai tea or chai tea? I never actually know. Because I thought the CH was like a K sound, but I'm just confused by that.
It's not. It's chai.
I feel like we need some input on the wiki. I might have to look that up.
You won't have to look it up. It's chai. Which, actually, chai, I don't know the language, but the Indian language, chai means tea. So if you say chai tea, you're really just saying tea.
It's like saying Rio Grande River.
Exactly. It's the Big River.
Whew, that was informative.
You could go up to a subordinate at work and be like, would you like some of my chai tea? And you really just ask them if you wanted some of your tea. And, but you can say it and not get a harassment lawsuit.
I suppose it depends on how you say it.
Would you like some of my chai tea?
If your shirt's off, then you might come into some issues.
It's true. The verbiage isn't the only factor, I suppose. So yeah, you don't need to look up the chai tea wiki, but we have looked up the Beyond the Wall wiki, Jeremy. Is that
equally important?
Okay. Well, we have a very, very short plot here that I can use to recap this episode quite briefly. How do you guys want to hear it today? In English, I hope, but beyond that, I'll allow you to customize it. Order it how you please.
Dora the Explorer?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
All right.
Do you know they're making a live-action Dora Explorer movie?
Hans and I were talking about this yesterday.
That's why I thought of it.
And also, Hans, you have to check them out if you haven't seen them yet. Jeremy, you have to check them out if you haven't seen them yet. There are these grown-up Dora videos on like YouTube and Facebook that are great, and it's like, this is cocaine. And Boots is like a strung-out junkie. Like they're super funny. All right, Season 7, Episode 6, Beyond the Wall. Jon and the Brotherhood hunt the dead. La Muerta. Arya confronts Sansa. Ooh. Tyrion thinks about the future. Do you see the future? Right. That's what happens here in episode 6. Dora. Dora.
I saw the trailer. The Dora looks more Asian than she does Spanish, and it's like that bob haircut that's horrible looking.
Dora looks great. What are you talking about?
Oh, God.
Oh, guys, Beyond the Wall here. It's an interesting episode. As we established last week, it's a very weird plan, and the fact that they came to this weird plan is odd. But once they put it into practice, they commit pretty heavily to it. What do you think about this whole excursion beyond the wall?
I think the action in the episode is fine, but I think the entire premise to begin with is so ludicrous that it's kind of hard to get into it.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes down though. I mean, just at the beginning, I almost marked it as my least favorite part, and then I kind of changed it because I kind of like it. Tormund and Jon are having a conversation, and Jon's saying, he's not going to kneel. Tormund says, you spend too much time with us. And then he says, like, well, Mance didn't want to kneel. How many people? Like, Tormund kind of seems to be wanting Jon to swear fealty to Daenerys. Is that the vibe that you got?
Yeah.
Seems odd to me. Which I guess they're playing like they're developing this big, lovable ginger giant, which is fair enough. I wanted to make sure that that's what was actually happening and that I wasn't missing something else.
Yeah. seemed weird coming from him, but I think like you're saying, I think they're just trying to make a point that that character is developing. And
What if you guys had to stick nice little flags with your initials on them into the least favorite parts of this episode to mark them for other explorers, where would you stick those flags?
I would. I don't know if you guys have caught any of this Nike marathon running, where they're like, I can run a marathon under 2 hours. I think that was their goal for Nike, and they like paced it at running something ridiculous, like 4:20 minute miles. Well, guess who could kill them all? Gendry. When Gendry gets sent back to warn Danny, Gendry, my bad. When Gendry gets sent back, like the amount of time it takes him to get to this place for him to run to Danny, it's pretty quick, right?
It is pretty quick, but they're not spending more than a day beyond the wall, right?
I don't know. That's the problem, is you don't really, because the last episode ends with them leaving, and this episode's they're walking for a long time.
Yeah.
And so I mean, him running back to her seems like, I don't know. It's quite impressive for him to run in this winter-born thing and get back to Danny.
It's true. When he's the one who's complaining about the cold. Which, although, I never noticed this before, Tormund does say, you got to keep moving. That's how to stay warm. So actually, that's funny little foreshadowing that I missed. Yeah, Gendry's actually the most believable part of that whole exchange to me.
And that
Because, yeah, then they send off a raven, which somehow gets to Daenerys, who then somehow flies all the way north to the middle of the,
And finds them.
lands beyond the wall and finds where Jon and everyone are at. While this whole time, like right when Gendry leaves, this whole group is surrounded by like thousands of whites and the White Walkers and the Night King and everybody, and nothing happens until 5 minutes before Daenerys shows up, which is crazy to me. And it's not like they're saying that that's it's no consequence territory. I mean, Thoros does die in it. They do look pretty, they explain it with the water and everything. They seem rather in dire positions, but I would have liked something to tell us how long has actually passed, because it could have been like 4 days.
yeah,
We just don't know.
that was my least favorite part too. It just it seems like, I mean, not saying I could do it, but it seems like it could have just been written better.
Yeah.
That was just seemed like a kind of a big plot hole.
Yeah, it's so, and when you start to do that, and I gotta be, it was more glaring the first time I watched it, and I've been alluding to this episode, our whole podcast, whenever we talk about time frames, especially Beyond the Wall and everything, and you go up there and you look at, it's like, oh, well, we don't know, they like to play fast and loose with the rules. I think this is their biggest sort of showing of that, but it wasn't as bad as I remember it being.
Yeah, I mean, we don't get an idea of how fast dragons can fly, but Danny seems to get places ridiculously quick in the show compared to in the books.
It's just very fast. I remember when I said that, like, oh, season 7's not my favorite just because everything happens so quickly. I don't think that everything actually happens that quickly. There's not a ton that goes down in season 7. Season 6 is really a bunch of pretty intense plot points. I think that it's just season 7 is, it's like, oh, today Danny has a scene north of the wall. Tomorrow Danny has a scene in King's Landing. Like, it's just jumping around like crazy. And sure, maybe they're allotting the time for that, but they're not playing like they are. And it's just, it takes me out of it a little bit. I don't know.
Agreed.
Yeah. So what'd you think of the battle itself? How'd you think it looked?
Looked pretty good. All the fighting, starting with the giant fiery undead bear.
Yeah.
Which was awesome.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
What a badass scene when the bear shows up and it's kind of, you get the haziness of like the snow and all that stuff, and kind of they play it off where you see the bear kind of in the bottom left panel of the screen, and then you see the Brotherhood guys coming. I can't ever remember the name. The Brotherhood guys come up and they just both at the same time light their two swords. How badass.
Beric and Thoros.
Beric. How could I forget Bear?
It's this whole all this stuff, and I mentioned it on Friday. For anyone who is interested in, or thinking they might be interested in playing any sort of role-playing game like Dungeons and Dragons or what have you, just watch this episode of Game of Thrones to see whether or not you'd be into it, because everything about this episode screams D&D to me. Like, you got these people that really shouldn't be in a group, but they are in a group. They just keep, like, they're traveling and they keep breaking off to have like 2-on-2 conversations with like, Jorah and Jon talk about this sword that connects their pasts. Like, they're piecing together backstory while they're traveling, and then the DM's like, all right, let's get back to things. They throw a fiery bear at them, then they kill it, and then one of them almost dies, but then they save it. Like, it goes crazy, and then they come up. First of all, I mean, the whole plan is D&D, because it's like, oh, hey, yeah, here's what we're gonna do, and then they, whoever's running the game just has to be like, that's the stupidest. All right, we'll figure it out. And then to teach him a lesson, he throws 30,000 whites at him, and then they're saved at the last minute after they've learned said lesson by Danny Ex Machina here flying in on the dragons, burning things away. But it is a good fight. It's some cool fighting. They seem to be able to hold their ground. Like, once the whites swarm them, like, they're not swarming anything like they were at Hardhome, where they're just overrunning each other. Like, they're pretty single file, which kind of bugged me.
Yeah.
Just because we've seen them go all out and, like, just massacre people.
Yeah.
And no one died to the whites at the end there. Well, just the 3, like, people who don't have names.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah, but no one actually, they could have, I think it would have been better had you had Thoros fall to the whites. It would have made it look hectic. I mean, it was cool that they just woke up to him dead. It added to the dire situation they were in, but still.
Yeah, agreed. It's hard, like, that's the hardest thing for me too, exactly, just to pretty much repeat your exact statement, was that we already know, we've seen them, and Hardhome was much more of a, like, zombie horror film, where this was more of like, the zombies seemed like they kind of knew what they were doing and being more meticulous, which doesn't make sense to me, but anyway. I did kind of like, as ridiculous as it was, I kind of liked the water thing, although I have issues with that too, but the water being really the separation, and then, of course, Bronn just chucking a rock and causing all hell to break loose. Who did someone else chuck the rock?
Bronn isn't there.
Who was chucking the rock?
The Hound.
Oh, okay, my bad. I'm like, I watched this episode way too long ago.
Oh yeah. Bronn, you think you could pay Bronn to be on the wall?
No.
Hell no. Yeah. And you can make the point. This is one of the points that people make in conspiracy theories, where we'll touch on, where the Night King knew what he was doing. So he's kind of having it drag out so that Daenerys shows up. Mm-hmm. Because as we see in my favorite part of the episode, Viserion fucking dies.
Yeah, he gets wrecked by that one spear.
Magical ice spear.
Right. And and it's an emotional thing, because it would be unfair in this sort of setting if the dragons all were just kind of invincible. So I think that kind of makes it have a little bit of more, realism if dragons existed. But you want that, right? Like, you want the other army. Right now, the army has essentially an innumerable, my God, a large amount of people that they can raise all the dead. Essentially, an endless army. But fire will destroy them. So the dragons could literally just sit there, breathe fire all day, and just wreck them, right?
True.
So that's the end of the battle in that sense. But the fact that the Night King has the ability to not only kill a dragon, but then, as we're going to see in the future episodes, some other things can happen. It actually makes it interesting. The next season has so much more potential now for me.
Yeah. Yes, I think that taking a dragon out here was crucial. Showing that that they have that ability was so good. Added to the intensity for everybody. I had a couple problems with it. My biggest one is they pan around and it looks like he's gonna throw it at Drogon, and then he doesn't. And then it's like, oh shit, he took out Viserion. But why didn't he throw it at Drogon? Like,
Yeah, I don't think it makes sense. And actually, I think that would have been more powerful to take out Drogon, and like Dany falls and gets caught by another dragon or something. You know, that would have been cool.
it was right there in front of him. It wasn't moving. Like maybe he was trying to be a badass, but like he could have taken out their means of escape.
But doesn't
right away.
he also
He
look
didn't.
at Jon as well? Like he's gonna throw. I don't remember that.
Yeah. So again, it makes me think that there's a reason for it, that he knows more than he's letting on.
And what an arm strength. I mean, that's the other thing that's confusing. If you're that strong, then literally no one could ever stop you swinging at them. You know, like that wasn't just like he chucked a spear, 30 yards. He chucked that thing like a bullet in the sky.
Yeah. Well, I think that's been shown before, though. Like the one White Walker that Jon felt like touched him in the chest and he flew down a flight of stairs, like, or through a hole in the floor.
Oh, okay. I don't remember that as much.
Yeah, but even then, to Jeremy's point, like Jon has blocked a sword swing from a White Walker before, and like if they're that strong, even if you put your sword out and block it, they're gonna
wreck you.
break your damn arm off
Yeah.
when they hit that sword.
There's just some inconsistencies. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a good point. Another inconsistency I had, which now, after the tone of everything and the things that we've said, I don't think it's an inconsistency. I think is fodder for my theories. Daenerys does not seem all that heartbroken about Viserion's death. It seems like she wants to be, but her reactions are not what I would have expected for somebody who just lost
Her only child, or one of her only children.
like a child, and like she has all the right words and stuff, but her mannerisms don't necessarily seem to match up with that.
See, I didn't get that from this show. I find that interesting. I mean, I understand the direction you're going with your point, but
Yeah.
I think that bothered her. I mean, her and John talk about it at the end, and she's too busy staring into those wonderful, wonderful eyes.
Yeah, but the John thing, that's the first time she chokes up about it.
Yeah.
When it happens, there's really nothing, and I get it, adrenaline, you're in the moment. But then she's like standing on top of the wall, and she does the whole like a few more minutes or whatever, and people leave her alone, and she's just staring. I'm not trying to say that she's unaffected. I think that she's not as affected as she wants to be by it. And
Yeah, any other comment on the Daenerys thing? Because I agree. I think I just expected a more intense, like emotional reaction. I didn't get it either. And I kind of just thought I missed it. Like it was somewhere that I didn't see. So I'm glad you pointed that out, because I would not have said anything. But my runner up for my least favorite part, I have another one, is I like it. Again, it's pretty like coincidental or whatever. Maybe, I guess. I don't know if he's stalking anyone who goes beyond the wall, but Uncle Benjen saves Jon. Okay.
yeah.
And that part is not my least favorite. My least favorite is Uncle Benjen goes, "Come with me," and then John's like, John gets on the horse, and then John goes, "Come with me," and then Uncle Benjen goes, "There's no time," and then sends him off. And we're like, "What do you mean there's no time? All you had to do is jump on the damn horse. Like, what are you talking about?"
Yeah, that makes
Or just
zero
not get off the
sense.
horse in the first place.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Just pull him up onto the horse. Yeah.
What would be great is John just slides forward. See, it's a twosie. You can sit behind me. We're fine.
And like, wait a minute, Uncle Benjen was like just talking for a second, and like they had this little interaction, and then I just wanted John to be like, "Wait, what? How is there no time?"
Like he gets off the horse. He's like, "See, I'm off the horse. Now I'm back on the horse. I'm off the horse. Now I'm
Let's
back
practice our dismounting. That is a little, yeah. And then no one can catch up with Jon. I mean, he gets away scot-free, makes it back. Daenerys is happy to see him. They continue to deny the sexual tension between them. It's very palpable at this point. It's not just Davos and Missandei and Tyrion seeing things. We could see it. Here it is. Here's what they're talking about. Yeah, definitely. Jon, quote unquote, bends the knee, except he's shirtless in a bed. So he does his best. And apparently we shouldn't be saying Dany no mo. She doesn't like it. Not into it. I don't know why John said it either. It seemed
Yeah.
cringy to
It
me
seemed
when he's like,
cringy.
It was terrible. Yeah, I hated it.
"Thank you, Danny."
He wanted to sing Donny Boy.
Yeah, who did he hear that from? Like, if you guys and Game of Thrones wasn't a thing, and you worked with a woman named Daenerys after you made fun of her constantly, would you think to call her Danny? Like, I don't think that I would.
No.
No, I don't know. I think that's a hard thing.
Aerys.
Yeah, Aries would
What's
be
up,
cool.
Aerys?
Yeah. So beyond the wall stuff, going back to Winterfell, what did you think of Sansa and Arya? There's a lot.
Yeah, they're hard at each other's throats right now.
Yeah.
Again, I get where they're going with some of it I don't. It's again a timeline thing. We don't know when they start to kind of work toward the same thing. In certain instances, it's like they're putting on appearances, but then when they're all alone, I don't get it. So there's definitely some actual real tension that is palpable at this point. I mean, like, Sansa finds some faces, and Arya kind of threatens her a little bit, and, you know, they just kind of play coy like that. It led into my least favorite part of the episode, which was Sansa sending Brienne away.
Yeah,
Because I didn't understand that. It
just
almost
doesn't
seemed
make
like
any
Brienne
sense.
was just sent to King's Landing so that they could have another person to you know, reconvene with somebody. But it was just like, I can't understand it from any angle. If she does think that Arya is against her, blah 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 blah. Of course, and if Arya was against her, Brienne would not take like Arya's side over Sansa, which I think is the worry that Baelish is trying to throw into Sansa's head. And if we're to be believed, and Sansa knows more than she's letting on, and she's like just kind of trying to gain information and work with Arya, I just don't get what sending Brienne away does, except kind of put Littlefinger at ease that she's listening, which it seems a big thing for that.
Yeah, but that's got to be a risk, sending away essentially your Kingsguard, if you will, like your protector, to the enemy. I mean, literally to them, which
Right, a risk to Brienne. Like,
yeah. So I agree with you. The only thing, and I didn't think of this, and so I'll give you that. I mean, the only thing I think, if they are trying to manipulate Baelish, then this is good. This makes him feel secure that he's the one who's getting to control her again, right? Because it's a dumb thing to do, and
It's
the fact
so
that
dumb.
she does it makes maybe him feel like, yes, I'm back in the good graces. I'm controlling this again.
I pretty much
Yeah.
hate like the entire story arc that is this Sansa Arya thing until the end, which is fine, but the which we'll talk about tomorrow, but or I guess Wednesday now since
Wednesday.
we're flipping. We're
yeah,
skipping.
Wednesday.
But
Flipping and skipping.
the thing that I wonder if the whole Arya Sansa thing, like even when they're doing this in private, and yes, there is some tension, I think, and there's some confusion from Sansa's side, but I wonder if they're really like they are playing this part knowing that Littlefinger is like so manipulative and like knows so much that they're wondering if he's like always watching, or just in case he's spying on them somewhere that they think they're alone and they're not, and they just like don't ever break it and they just know not to. Maybe that's kind of the way I explain it in my head, just to make any sense of it, but I don't know.
Yeah, and we will see, again, talk about it on Wednesday, like we will see after everything happens and goes down, there's still a little bit of tension. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's all fabricated.
Yeah.
But speaking of Brienne, she is waxed poetically about in this episode for maybe the first time verbally. Tormund kind of just expresses his love of Brienne to the Hound, says that he's going to have babies with her and everything, which is awesome.
Hilarious.
But he also doesn't know the word dick. when Hound is like something, you know what, my dick. And Tormund goes, dick? And the Hound is like, cock. And he's like, oh, dick. I like it.
I completely forgot that.
Just a very weird moment.
I think it'd be hilarious if they get back and then the Hound is like flirting with Brienne as well, and it becomes like this pride thing with him and Tormund.
Oh my god, that would be great.
Because, I mean, in
Weirdest
theory,
love triangle ever.
Yeah. Well, like, I mean, Nahalna and Brienne have already gone at it, so they have a mutual respect for each other in that sense.
It's true.
She beat the fuck out of him.
Very true.
Although I would
and
say he
then-
wasn't in the
And
best position.
nothing else really happens, right?
We get one
Nothing
more
else.
thing.
Nothing else important.
Yeah. just the namesake of our very own Hans Scherenberger here, Bone Dragon.
Finally.
Right at the end, I almost want to say post credits because it feels like a post credits thing.
It does.
Really does.
But it's not. They pull again, great insight into maybe the Night King knowing more than he's letting on, as they have these giant chains to go ahead and pull Viserion out of this frozen lake. They seem to be doing okay in the water now. Just
Yeah,
FYI.
that was my question. What the shit? They can't go into the water when there's this huge group of people, but apparently they can go down in the water and tie these chains on this dragon. I don't understand.
It's
So
questionable.
inconsistent.
And then the Night King touches Viserion and raises him from the dead.
So does he have to touch things for them to then be controlled by him? Because at the scene where he raises the dead at the camp, he just raises his arms and all the dead, even the ones that he's nowhere near at that time, just stand up.
Right.
So why does he even need to drag it out of the water? Why not just be like, and up?
I don't know. It's a good question. Could have just been for dramatic effect. We have seen when he touches the babies, they turn into the White Walkers. So maybe this is more powerful shit.
That's what I was wondering. Yeah, if it's something.
I don't know.
Maybe.
And how long do you have to be dead before you can be raised? Like, could you kill someone and he's just like you up, and then they stand up, and then like, or is it like there's like a timeout period?
I don't know about the Night King's cooldown mechanics. Seems like
It's like he keeps hitting AA on the controller. Like, no, I said raise them,
Yeah.
and you're good.
Night King, you have to wait for your phrase dead to recharge, idiot.
You have to recharge your mana.
This is the raising the dragon scene. The second it started happening, the first time I saw it, I was like, oh shit! Like it's obvious. It's very cool. It's gonna happen. It's great. I kind of wish that we didn't get this scene though, and that the first time that we saw the Viserion again was just in that moment in the next episode.
Me too.
Because how cool would that be if you think about it, but like if you're not expecting it, we've never seen it, they've never set it up, and you just hear, "Rah!" and then just see like, oh, that would have been so much better.
Because you would assume it would be Danny and a dragon there protecting the wall, right? Like,
Maybe,
that's
yeah.
how you would sell it. Of like, in the clouds, you see a dragon, you're like, oh my god, Danny's here. How badass is that? She's going to wreck them. And then just slowly out of the gray, you see like the blue flame come. That would have been badass.
Oh, it would have been so.
We should have ridden it.
We should, yeah. Redo Game of Thrones. Don't worry about the final season. I know we've been building to it for months now. Just scrap it.
Just redo
Scrap
it.
it.
Redo.
We'll do it.
So why does the dragon's fire turn blue now? Is it ice or what's the deal? I don't get
So
it.
it is fire, but I don't know. Just because magic.
Okay, that makes
Because magic. It would actually make more sense if it was ice, because in theory, fire kills them, so probably not the best idea.
Yeah. I guess probably the explanation is, you know, they say dragons are fire made flesh, and at a couple points we can see like the fire building in their bodies, coming out their throats and stuff. So that fire is obviously put out, and now the fueling Viserion is like blue undead magic. So that's what comes out.
That makes
Maybe.
sense.
I
I
guess
suppose.
it's a stretch. It's a stretch.
My other point, which I just seems like we just glanced over, which you brought up, but I want to just make sure we're clear on this. So White Walkers and Whites just carry just ridiculously large chains around with them always. I take it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Just as long as that's clear.
Yeah. Or they know something, you know? They're like, just maybe we bring these chains. Well, why, Night King? Why do we bring these chains? I'll never tell.
Which then you can go to the whole Bran, maybe, or
Right.
Third Eye Raven just being the Night King, because he's like, hey, I know everything that happens, so we're gonna pack the following things.
Yeah. Here's what we need for our journey. It's a good point. That's season 7, episode 6, Beyond the Wall. Was some great Thrones action there. You guys want to transition to the Scones?
Yeah, but first, no boobs.
That's true. No boobs at all. No good, bad, and juggling moments. Once again,
Gonna say disappointed.
Yeah, it's fitting. Would have been weird if they showed us the Hound's penis again in this situation. Would have been cold.
Yeah,
but
maybe just
could have at least thrown a dong on like the giant undead bear,
or maybe just
something.
some scrotum. Maybe a little scrotum.
Yeah, a little scrot.
We need some scrot.
Why are we not getting more undead jugglies? Is what I'm asking. These people are not that worried about covering themselves up, I'm sure. Yeah. Granted, some of that tissue's probably the first to go when you're dead and decaying, but some of them are pretty fresh, so I don't get it. Opportunity is all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's been missed. That'll be all the next season is, just undead tias. I had a scone today. Does anyone want to ask me about it? Ask me about my scone.
I think you already talked about it.
I'm fine.
With the Kai tea stuff.
No, I'm just kidding. Tell me about that scone, Tony.
You can find us at thronessandscones.com if you want to find out more about our show and what we do.
50-50.
We'll be back on Wednesday. We're not going to be here tomorrow or Thursday on account of the fact that we're running out of episodes. Are you done with GOT?
Yeah, you know me.
You guys are heartless bastards.
Heartless bastards.
I do want to know about the scone, though.
Me too,
What was
actually.
it?
Oh, do you? Do you now?
Yeah.
Well, all right, then I'll tell you. Pear chai scone.
Oh, yeah, I was interested in this one.
Yeah, found the recipe a while back, and it's just, the idea sounds a little weird, but it's just kind of like apple cinnamon, but a bit funkier.
Sure.
It's dope. So I doubled down. There was like a cup of chopped up pears in like the whole recipe. It's like a pear, which didn't seem like that much. So I did a pear and a half. And then didn't edit the cooking time or anything like that. So these suckers came out pretty dang moist. These were, like, for scone purists looking for that, like, flaky, biscuity type thing, you ain't getting that with these scones that I made.
Okay.
But for what I'm looking for in scones, these were incredible. Also, the glaze on it was not the color that it looked in the recipe at all. It looked like almost white with, like, these flecks of brown in the recipe. And mine turned out straight thick brown, and I had to add more like cream to whisk it up. And so the recipe said a tablespoon of cinnamon, which when I was pouring it out, I was like, this seems like a lot of cinnamon. I'm assuming it meant a teaspoon, even though I did verify and it said tablespoon. But it kind of worked out because like the glaze tasted like you took an entire cinnamon roll and just melted it.
Nice.
So yeah, this was the best one that I have had thus far.
Really? Of all times?
Of every scone that I have ever had.
Okay. Okay.
But it wouldn't be for everyone. It was super like dense and thick and gooey, like inside of a cinnamon roll kind of texture for the whole thing.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Did you mix any of the chai spices into the did you, like an icing, or was it just more of like a glaze?
The glaze was all cinnamon, I think, and then in the actual thing itself there was like cinnamon and ginger, nutmeg, and I don't think cloves was in the recipe, but I added cloves because of course always add cloves. It's a good thing to remember in life.
Yeah, I mean, because when you make like a chai tea spice, you can use cloves, you can use kind of a different group of, because it's just a combination of spices. So that's cool. Sounds delicious.
Yeah, it was great. Thanks for caring.